The Texans got completely embarrassed by the Cowboys 34-0. Now, I was really pissed at first, really pissed. But then I calmed down a bit and remembered, hey, it's just preseason. It doesn't count. If it counted, I probably would have came in here yelling and, being very mean to the Texans players and coaches. But just because the game doesn't count doesn't mean, I should just ignore everything and act like it didn't happen. There's still some major stuff that went down today, and I kind of want to talk about that. First, the injuries. Lamar Miller, torn ACL, out for the season. That really sucks. The Texans don't have a running back that has been here for a long time in this offense right now. They have Buddy Howell, but Buddy Howell, last year all he did was play special teams. Duke Johnson, I don't know if Duke Johnson can be an every down back, and maybe he can, but what if he goes down? You're stuck with Karan Higdon and Crockett, and maybe Buddy Howell, but still, not having Lamar Miller. I know some Texans fans don't like Lamar Miller. Not having Lamar Miller is bad. We need a running back. Someone that's, kind of proven in the NFL. Maybe, he doesn't have to be, Ezekiel Elliott, Melvin Gordon. I've seen some people say, oh, let's trade for Zeke. Let's trade for Melvin Gordon. No, you're not going to give up a bunch of picks for one of those guys. You just can't do it. So, there's not much out there, honestly. Hate to be that guy, but Jay Ajayi, I've seen a lot of Eagles fans saying that he's done, his knees kind of just disappeared. I've heard Adrian Peterson, but come on, AP's old, so I don't know. I don't know what the Texans are going to do there, but they have to do something, in my opinion. They can't just go into the season with Duke Johnson, Higdon, Crockett, and Buddy Howell. They can't do that. Especially now that the Andrew Luck news came out. The Texans have to take advantage, and going into the season with that running back group, just no. No. Now, the next injury, Zach Fulton. Probably, arguably, our best offensive lineman. He got hurt too. But, luckily for us, it was just mild turf toe. Meaning he's going to be back out there week 1, most likely. But it's not a long-term injury, so Zach Fulton's good to go. That's pretty much all there is when it comes to the injuries. Now let's talk about what went down in this game. Let's start off with this. One of my biggest issues with Bill O'Brien, and I'll say this all the time, I am not one of those guys that is always negative, always criticizing every single move the Texans make, always saying Bill O'Brien's a problem, blaming Bill O'Brien's play calling. I'm not one of those guys, and you guys know this. But one thing I have always said about Bill O'Brien is, one of the things I hate about him is his lack of preparation. Sometimes, and I feel like it happens every season, there's some games where Bill O'Brien's Texans just show up unprepared and just get flat out embarrassed. Those slow start games. Those are kind of like that too. But lucky for us, last year we had Deshaun Watson to kind of calm some things. But those games happen every single year for the Texans. And I was hoping, maybe this year would be different since we brought in a proven quarterbacks coach and O'Brien got himself an offensive coordinator. I thought, maybe Bill O'Brien's Texans are going to come out prepared this year. Because Bill O'Brien can now focus with his whole team. He doesn't have to focus on just the quarterback. But you guys saw the game against the Cowboys. That wasn't the case. The Texans got flat out embarrassed. Literally. I don't care if it was just preseason. The Texans, what they showed out there today, it was mostly just trash. Most of that stuff, most of that film is complete trash. Now, there is a few little good things here and there, but for the most part, it's garbage film. And you know how Bill O'Brien says, and it starts with me. Well, damn right, it starts with you, Bill O'Brien, because the first major mistake Bill O'Brien made, I don't know what in the world he was thinking. This man started Julian Davenport at left tackle. We already know, we saw it all last year. Julian Davenport is garbage. He's dumpster fire. He should not be starting. He shouldn't. You have a young guy, Rod Johnson, who everyone wants to see, who everyone thinks he's legit, who Deshaun Watson himself said, I feel comfortable with Rod Johnson at left tackle. Your quarterback, Deshaun Watson, said that. He said that, literally. And he puts Julian Davenport at left tackle? Seriously? Let the young guy, even though Davenport's young too, but Rod Johnson is the one people want to see. Rod Johnson's the one that actually has showed something. You know, he's like the only left tackle you have on your roster that's shown that he isn't trash. Literally. He's the only one with potential on your team at the moment, if you don't count Tytus Howard. But, you know, he puts in Julian Davenport. You know, absolutely genius. Not only that, Julian Davenport, he was trash. He allowed a terrible sack on Deshaun Watson. And Deshaun Watson, he looked uncomfortable. He played like, one drive? And he had like 2 passing attempts. Got sacked on both. One of them was negated by a defensive holding. But that one, in my opinion, was on Watson holding on to the ball too long. The other was 100% on Julian Davenport. And I don't know why in the world Davenport was in there. I mean, the guy was still complete trash. I think he even had a holding penalty. Not only that, he had Nick Martin at center too. You know, Zach Fulton was looking really good at center. But, you know, Bill O'Brien said, nope, I'm putting Nick Martin at center. And guess what? Nick Martin sucked too. And he had 2 holding calls. What gives, man? I am one of those people that says, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. And guess what? Rod Johnson, Tytus Howard, Zach Fulton, Max Sharping, and Shantrell Henderson. That combination of the offensive line was actually working. You know, they actually looked good for the first time in like 3 years. And then Bill O'Brien goes and changes it up. Like, come on, dude. Like, that's a joke. And I mean, I understand that Tytus Howard broke his finger so he couldn't play, but still though. And then he had Max Sharping looking completely lost out there at right tackle and at right guard. Now the reason why I think this, I don't know, maybe the young rookie is used to having Zach Fulton at center next to him. I don't know, that's just, you know, my theory. You know, the Texans had given up 0 sacks up until today. Now, I don't know how many sacks they gave up this game, but at halftime, they had already given up like 6 sacks. What does that tell you? The offensive line Bill O'Brien threw out there just didn't work. It was complete trash. It was an embarrassment. I mean, like I said, everything, like this whole game film is complete trash. You can literally crumble it up, throw it away, burn it. I'm sure the Texans don't want to see it again. So, I'm not really going to talk about the bad stuff, because the bad stuff is pretty much everything. I'm just going to point out the few little good things. Now, J.J. Watt, you know, he did look pretty good there. Bradley Roby, he was very sticky in coverage. He did allow a touchdown early on, but to be fair, that was more on Whitney Merciless not being able to bring Dak Prescott down. He kind of had him for a sack, but Prescott got away, and he was able to deliver a ball to one of his receivers. And Roby was there in perfect coverage, but he still allowed the catch. Rod Johnson, when he finally went in, like after the second or third drive, I believe, once Bill O'Brien finally realized that, oh my God, I'm an idiot. Oh, Julian Davenport is trash. Yeah, I know shit, he's trash. Once he finally realized that, Rod Johnson went in there, and I thought Rod Johnson did a pretty good job. I do believe he allowed a sack on Joe Webb, but that was more on Webb just kind of scrambling like around, and Webb got sacked from behind. I mean, Rod Johnson couldn't do anything about that. And let's talk about Webb, man. I feel bad for Webb. He was just kind of out there taking a beating, like not knowing what to do. Lonnie Johnson, a really bright spot in this game. I thought he did a lot of good things. Lonnie Johnson was like the biggest thing the Texans had going for them in this game. I thought Charles Omenihu did some good things as well. I thought Crockett looked better than Higdon this game, but Crockett did have a fumble, but nonetheless, he did look better running the football. But if you guys remember, Crockett did have fumble issues in college, so that's something worth noting. But now that Lamar Miller's out for the season, it's very likely that they both make the team. Now, two other players I thought looked pretty good as well was Davin Bellamy and Albert Huggins. Other than that, honestly, not gonna lie, like after the injuries and especially after the Andrew Luck retirement thingy, I really stopped paying close attention to the game. I was just kind of doing other stuff. So, apologize for not going further in depth this week. But there really wasn't much there, at least not good things. Bunch of terrible things, like receivers not doing much, team as a whole not being prepared, starting offensive line being garbage due to players being played that weren't supposed to be played or that aren't supposed to be getting played. And that starts with O'Brien. So, I mean, what can you say? It's just preseason, but still there's some red flags. And now all of a sudden the Texans have another hole on their roster at the running back position. I mean, however, like I said in that Andrew Luck video I dropped earlier, I expect the Texans to win the division. The Titans aren't a good team. The Jaguars, they need more talent on the offensive side of the ball. So it's all there for the Texans. And so far, they're not off to a good start, I will say that. I mean, I've been saying all offseason, the only thing that'll keep the Texans out of the playoffs is major injuries. And looks like they already suffered one. So, hopefully they're able to stay healthy down the stretch in the season. But still, though, I mean, not a good look for them. Hopefully they're able to get over this and get ready for New Orleans in a couple weeks. Because, as we all know, preseason week 4... it doesn't really matter. So, yeah. That's all I really have for you guys for today. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.